Good morning, everyone. My name is Krista Bopp, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed chemical dependency counselor for Frontera Healthcare Network at our Fredericksburg location. I am so excited to be here with you today for another Mindful Monday session. Today, we're diving into conquering your fear, helping you to understand how and why we react the way we do and how to harness our emotions around the way we react. This is an important subject that can help us all improve our mental well-being. Before we get started, though, I want to take a moment to recognize our incredible partner. The Wellness Uncorked initiative is made possible through a partnership between Texas Wine Auction and Frontera Healthcare Network. This initiative allows us to provide free group counseling classes, educational seminars like Mindful Mondays, health fairs, and more, all designed to support the well-being, especially the mental well-being, of our community. Now, let's jump into today's presentation. Why do we feel fear? We feel fear because it is deeply ingrained. It is a deeply ingrained survival mechanism. Fear evolved to help us recognize and respond to danger and improve our chance of staying alive. It's inherent. It's there to protect us. Fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It gets a bad rap like anxiety, but fear is within us to help us stay safe. Because it is so natural and so a part of who we are, it can maybe take a hold of us and become something different over time. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So there are three basic purposes why we feel fear. The biological purpose, that fear activates the fight or flight response and reaction controlled by the amygdala in the brain. It's just, like I said, inherent. It just happens. The psychological function is fear helps us learn from our experiences and avoid risky behavior. So if we pay attention to our fear, we will learn from it. And then the social and evolutionary aspect is fear was shared through social learning, and it still is, cautionary tales. We talk about what you should be afraid of or things that are situations and all that we should be afraid of so that we know ahead of time, oh, I need to watch out for that. So how do we respond to fear? Because knowing how we traditionally respond to fear can help us understand ourselves and our pattern of behavior so that we can start to change our behavior. And I don't mean it's going to stop you from feeling fear. You're still going to feel fear. It's a part of us. And like I said, there's reasons why we feel it. But a lot of times our response to fear can make our emotions go crazy, and it can make everything way worse than it actually is. So Ruth Sukup has a video on YouTube that I absolutely love, and I've watched it over and over. I strongly suggest you go and watch her. She's hilarious, number one. And number two, she has a great story and she has spent years studying fear and surveying people on fear, and she came up with these 7 archetypes, and I'm sharing them with you today. When I first listened to her video, for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like all 7 at different times. This can happen. And then when I watched it again later, I was like, you know what? Now I'm like maybe only 3 of them really. And looking at the 3 that I could relate to or that I could see myself responding in that way, I was able to now, when I feel fear, go, okay, am I doing these things in response to my fear? So there are 7. One is called the procrastinator, the people pleaser, the rule follower, the outcast, the self-doubter, the excuse maker, and the pessimist. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Now, in this presentation, I'm going to go into them briefly, but if you want more information, like I said, watch Ruth Soukup's video on YouTube. It is a TED Talk. She does a wonderful job and she explains it even further. Okay, so let's start with the first three, the procrastinator. The procrastinator is also known as the perfectionist, okay? They spend a lot of time doing research, always tweaking things, spending a lot of time shopping because you don't know what, you don't want to make the wrong choice. You hate making mistakes. You pay a lot of attention to detail. So the procrastinator is the one that when you decide to buy a car, you'll spend a year researching this car just to make sure it's the right one, asking everybody about it, thinking about it, wondering about it, because you're afraid to make the wrong choice. That's the hard part of the procrastinator. The good part, or the easier part, or the helpful part is you pay a lot of attention to detail. You are the type of person who will remember every part of what somebody is telling you. And in any type of situation, you're so detail oriented, you remember everything about it. The second one is called the people pleaser. And this is definitely one that I could relate to. The fear of being judged and letting people down. You care a lot about what others think. You have a hard time saying no. You don't like to rock the boat, and you tend to have good relationships with everyone. So the people pleaser is the one that will, and I totally understand, that will go with the flow. And you'll go with the flow because you don't want to be judged by anyone. You don't want to make things difficult for anyone. You will go to the restaurant that you don't even really want to go to because you've been there before and maybe you didn't really like the food, but it's easier to just go there and maybe just order something simple just so you can still be with your friends. The fear of saying, I don't like that, I don't want to go there, is something you just can't do, at least not yet. But in being that people pleaser, you are giving into your fear by doing that instead of being you. Okay, the rule follower. So the rule follower tends to see everything in black and white. Okay, they have the black and white kind of thinking. They don't like to stray from the path. You excel when you're given clear directions. This person, like if given a recipe, right, would absolutely follow it step by step. They don't veer off the path. They're afraid if they veer off the path, something terrible will happen. And they get upset with people who do veer off the path. Like when they do, they go, oh, well, they veered off the path. That's the rule follower. But the rule follower can be a little bit, okay, let's bend a little bit, be a little more flexible. They tend to be a little bit inflexible, but in their lack of flexibility, they are actually really good at getting things done. They're very task oriented. They're that person. If you give them something to do, they have it done and it's done perfectly. Okay, the next one is called the outcast. So this one here, the outcast tends to be very deceptive. They, on the outside, okay, like it says here, look like they don't care. Like, I don't care about the party. I don't care about it. So when reality, they do. Their biggest fear is rejection. They push people away before they can be pushed away, and they're very independent. So this reminds me of a person who will say, I'm not going to that party. It's going to be lame. I don't know anybody there. It's just going to be stupid. So why go and just be bored, right? Outcasts play life small. They play life small for lots of reasons, but they play life small to be safe, okay? And in being safe, they aren't going to get hurt. If I never try, I can't be rejected, right? So I'm not going to join that club of people that I don't know. I'm not going to try out for the basketball team when I know I'm not as good as the others. I'm not going to even try out for that play or that part, or I'm not even going to do it because it's dumb or I won't enjoy it. I say that, but what I'm really saying is I am so afraid of failing. I'm so afraid of being laughed at. I'm so afraid of all that I'm not even going to try. That's the outcast. The self doubter struggles a lot with insecurities and negative self talk, very critical of self and others. However, very sensitive and empathetic. So here's what's funny about the self doubter: they will tell themselves, "Oh my gosh, my face doesn't look right. My nose is too big. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I don't have enough muscle. I'm not tan enough. I'm not whatever it is. I look dumb in these glasses." Negative self-talk all the time. So much so that you almost feel bad for yourself. Okay. You feel bad about yourself, but you feel bad for yourself, if that makes sense, which makes you very empathetic toward others. You're sitting with someone and they say they feel like they look fat. You go, "No, you are not at all. What are you talking about?" Very empathetic, very supportive. The person that you actually want to talk to you is this one, because in in the conversation with them, they begin to bring out their own insecurities, meaning they don't want you to feel that way. So they'll go over the top to make sure that you don't feel bad. Very empathetic, very supportive, but hard on themselves. And then there's the excuse maker, very smart and astute observer of other people, struggles sharing their own opinion because you don't want to be blamed if stuff doesn't work out. So the excuse maker is the person who refuses to choose the restaurant everyone's going to for lunch, because if you go there and it's bad, then you'll get blamed for making the bad choice. So excuse maker. Also, you're watching people all the time. This is the person, the excuse maker will sit in a meeting and not say anything, even when asked for feedback, because they don't want to be judged or be looked at as you don't know what you're doing. So they say nothing. Okay, and then the pessimist. The pessimist is okay. So first, I want to say the pessimist is the shortest one that you're usually in, but it's also the hardest one to get through. So the pessimist has a fear of experiencing more pain or more trauma. Okay. Every opportunity feels too big of a risk or tends to be too close and too close to what happened already. And so they tend to shut down and give up. Like I said before, it's the shortest one to be in, but hardest one to get through. So why is that? Okay. So the pessimist tends to be how we react, how we respond after big things happen. So you're in a car accident and you can't imagine driving again, or you just got divorced. You can't imagine finding someone and marrying again. You can't even imagine dating again. Okay. So that pessimist is your initial reaction to fear because of the trauma. Okay. You can't imagine, like, even like if your kid was in any kind of accident. Let's say they get in an accident in um with a bicycle riding, and then all of a sudden you just don't really want them riding their bicycle anymore. It's just that response to, I just can't let you do that. I just can't let you do that. Or I can't do that right now. It's too big. It's too much. It's too soon. It's too, they'll make all those excuses. But after a while, time helps heal that one. And so eventually you get further and further away from the trauma and further away from the pain or the experience, that you change a little bit. You start to become less fearful, and then the pessimist part starts to go away because the opportunities don't feel so big anymore, especially if you start taking one step and trying things again. And I want to use divorce because I think this one's very common. After you get divorced, you just can't even imagine dating or starting over or doing any of that. But then after a while, you do start over, and you do maybe go on a date, and you do find someone who is very caring, that you enjoy spending time with. And you may even decide to get married again. The one thing you said you would never do again, you go ahead and do. That's because that pessimist part, it's there, but it doesn't stay there very long. And depending upon the trauma that you've gone through, that pessimist archetype can stick around longer, and it can build. If you have a complex trauma building on it, then it tends to, stay around, or you become a pessimist, stay in that zone because of different traumas that happen. So everybody's different. But if you understand that, okay, this is just a phase I'm going through, and eventually I will be ready to put one foot in front of the other. Okay, so those are the 7 archetypes. Now, it's great to find out or to resonate with, and I encourage you to go back and look through those. I would say, even as reading them to you now, I would probably say I can identify really with 2. And it depends on the situation that I'm in, how I react to each of those. And I know better. I know I'm doing it. And sometimes I can't help it. The fear just takes over. And then I start all these, cognitive distortions get in there. I let them in. And then the whole narrative, I create this whole narrative. It happens. Let it. And then sit back and go, okay, wait a minute. Okay, I know I'm doing this. And now we can go to this slide and say how to successfully deal with your fear. So this is what you have to do next. Examine the source of your fear. You have to be, like I said before, a detective about your emotions. You have to say, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like this? If I am, afraid of the water, if I'm afraid of driving, if I'm afraid of why do I feel this way? Okay, let's talk about it. You can talk to a therapist, you can talk to a friend, whatever, but talk it out. Try to understand what is the source? Okay. And then challenge the emotion. Okay, I am afraid because, okay, and list them out, talk them out, do whatever, but figure out, why are you feeling this way? Our emotions are there for a reason. So we need to ask questions. We need to talk about them. And then we need to take action. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it looks different for everyone. Okay. If I am afraid of getting back in my car and driving, I might just want to be a passenger for a little while. And then after a span of time, I'm ready to drive, but only for a couple miles, and then maybe a couple more miles. So, and like I said, don't worry about being perfect. You're going to take action in the way you need to. Let's go back to divorce. And maybe it's going out with a group of friends and talking to people. And then maybe it's going on a double date just for coffee, right? I mean, it's baby steps. Do not judge this. Everybody has to take action in their own way, but taking actions helps conquer your fear. Normalize it. Okay, everybody feels fear. Everybody reacts to fear in their own way. Fear is, like I said, inherent. We all have it. So what are we doing with it? Let's not say, oh, I'm the only one, or you would be surprised how many people go, I bet nobody else feels this way. More people than you know. Understand in your brain that a lot of people deal with hard stuff, and hard stuff is hard, and it causes our fear to build. But if we keep pushing through the hard stuff, it can get easier, but we have to keep doing it. We have to keep moving. See best case scenario. So let's talk about like going out on a date again. After a divorce, going out on a date again is very, very hard. But go out on that date and be like, okay, maybe if nothing else, I find a new friend I can talk to. Best case scenario. Maybe this person is someone who I can come to when I really need to talk, or is a really great coffee buddy that is great to go have coffee with and talk things through. Best case scenario. Always look at best case scenario. And then self-reflect. I do this often. I sit back and I think, okay, am I making progress in my life? Am I working through my fears? Am I talking this out? Am I doing the self-care things that I need to do to fill my bucket, to clear my mind so that I am good for the people around me. Reflect upon what you've learned from the things that have happened to you and know that they've all happened to build sort of this uh, schema or this idea, these ideas, these experiences in your head are there to learn and pay forward to others. If you can reflect upon all the things you've learned and how much knowledge and wisdom you can give, pay forward, it's amazing. And that's how we help each other. But that doesn't happen unless we are self-reflective, right? We have to look at ourselves and we have to say, okay, there's so many things that I probably could have done better in that situation, or that I could have articulated in a softer way, or a more graceful way, or even more compassionate way for myself or for others. Next time I can do that. That is self-reflection. And then step out of your comfort zone and be curious. So it is so easy to not go to the party, not try out for the team, not go out on the date. That's easy. And you can go through the rest of your life and play life so small that you never enjoy it. Or you can take baby steps outside your comfort zone every day and slowly become a better, or I guess, less fearful person and better equipped to live your life bigger and not be afraid to do that. So thank you all for joining me today. And I hope that you have found that presentation to be helpful. Thank you for joining me for these. This is actually my last one. You will be joined next month by one or two new licensed professional counseling associates who will be doing the presentations. You will enjoy their presentations so much. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. If you found today's presentation helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a Mindful Monday presentation. We go live the first Monday of every month at 11. Okay, and group counseling classes, if you are ready to take the next step in prioritizing your mental health, we invite you to attend our Thrive Connection group counseling classes, available free through the Wellness Uncorked. These classes will be led by Frontera's professional counseling associates and are open to individuals and their immediate family members working in the hospitality, service, or retail industries. Frontera also offers individual counseling and medical services, both in person and virtual. We take a lot of different insurances and offer a sliding scale to make healthcare affordable. If you'd like to learn more, call 325-597-0102 or visit fronterahn.org to learn more. We appreciate you being here today and hope to see you next month. I'm not sure what we're going to be covering next month, but I want you to tune in because I know it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Take care and have a mindful rest of your day.